An international competitor on thoroughbreds, Chrissy Harris and her fantastic Thoroughbreds Sport Horse Association are doing a great job promoting our wonderful breed to so many people in the equestrian world. I caught up recently with Chrissy to find out what's coming up in the next year for Thoroughbred Sport Horse. Chrissy, it's been wonderful seeing the development of Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association. You're doing so much work, of course, in New South Wales, but also in a number of different states around Australia.
Well, we're having a lot of success both with the jumping and the hacking in Queensland and South Australia as well. So at the moment, we've got, over 900 horses on our books as licences, and we've got 60 shows going in South Australia, Queensland and New South Wales.
And of course, Stonewall, your development, I mean, it's come along such an enormous way, but what a great facility for you to be able to have so many of these classes showcasing great thoroughbreds off the track.
Well, Stonewall is going to be the home of Thoroughbred Sport Horse, and a couple more arenas to go will be finished, and really looking forward to hosting the 2022 TSH8 national titles in November.
Well, it is important to have this progression, like a pathway really, for people taking on thoroughbreds, whether they've raced or not. Just tell me a little bit about how you structure your competitions and what's available for someone that does take on a thoroughbred.
We structure our competitions to make it really easy for the show organisers. So we'll just add on into an existing show, so that's why we can do so many of them. And we like to sort of cover all bases, starting at 80 centimetres and going up to 1.20 metre. So, basically if you want an entry level, we've got that, and we will always have that. So if you only ever want to jump 80, you can jump thoroughbreds at 80 for the rest of your life. Whereas if you want to progress, you can do 80, 90, metre, 120. And then at the Thoroughbred Nationals, we'll have 130 classes and hopefully Australian record for 6-bar and puissance.
Are you seeing a greater take-up of the thoroughbreds from a lot of riders that might have otherwise chosen other breeds, stock horses or part warm bloods or what have you? Is it really starting to be recognised that there are rewards if you are competing on a thoroughbred?
Definitely, because thoroughbreds are at the moment exceptionally cheap to get them off the track, and those kids that would not normally be able to afford a competition jumping horse can, because they can buy a thoroughbred, and then it's a level playing field, because everyone's riding an off-the-track thoroughbred or a thoroughbred that's never been anywhere. And I don't really know what's worse, because when you get one off the track, they are beautifully balanced when they canter. So, they've spent their life cantering, they've got a great work ethic, they've seen a lot of things.
And this is the thing, I guess, we need to get through to a lot of people in the equestrian world, that no matter what horse you take on, as you say, a thoroughbred might not have been used to being tied up to a truck, or, that's all a learning curve. But any young horse that you're training to be at an event will take training.
Absolutely, whether it's a warm blood or a stock horse, if it has never been anywhere, it's exactly the same as the thoroughbred. So they're no different as young horses if they haven't raced. When they've raced, as I said, there's pluses and minuses for them.
And you've had some great, competitors being involved. We know, of course, Caitlin Malley and on Little White Cloud, Jess Bott, we'll feature them in some stories coming up. Adrian Bott, her husband, of course, sponsoring a class. But it's really good to get some people that have a bit of a profile involved as well, isn't it?
Oh, look, we've had some fabulous riders over the years win amazing things on thoroughbreds. Rod Brown, who's the current eventing jumping coach for Australia, he went to the Olympics and the World Championships on thoroughbreds. Vicky Roycroft probably needs no introduction, and she's just an absolute icon and a legend. She is in her 60s and she's still exceptionally competitive, and she wins nearly every thoroughbred class she goes in.
So what would you say is the benefit to someone who's thinking about getting a thoroughbred? What are the real positives?
Well, the real positives are they're lovely horses. It's not going to cost you a fortune to get into the game, and we've got that many classes going, and we go to that many shows. We're trying to make it bigger and bigger, and it's really taking off. In the equestrian industry, the shows are contacting us saying, hey, we'd love to run your classes. So I think that's our niche, is to bridge the gap between, there's the thoroughbred industry and there's a lot of retrainers, but retraining for what? So that's where we fill the gap. So, they've got an aim. It's like aiming for the Everest or aiming for the Melbourne Cup. You have a racehorse because you've got this dream. Well, now you can buy a thoroughbred with a second career, and we are giving you that dream. The Australian Championships in 22 has got, already we've had people ring up and say, hey, we'd like to sponsor. And I'm eternally grateful for the thoroughbred industry for realising, you know, the part that we are going to play. Because at the moment, Nicole, my partner in crime for organising this, we've spent so much time trying to get the shows off the ground, get the competitions off the ground, that we've been a bit slack in the looking for sponsorship department. But the thoroughbred industry just kicked up. I mean, I'm gobsmacked and like just so grateful.
And the other really important thing with TSHA is traceability. I mean, we're hearing about it more on a national level, to know where these horses go when they, you know, from one home to another. And they don't always stay at the first home they go to off the track or when they're away from the racing industry. Your traceability is great. I mean, you really are documenting who all these horses are.
Well, as they swap owners, if they're still competing every year, they have to renew their licence with us. You know, you buy your competition licence, you compete your horse. There is nothing more than that. But in doing that, we have a fabulous database of who they are and where they are.
So onwards and upwards. I mean, it just, your plans overall, really looking forward to 2022 and the national thoroughbred titles. But what are the plans sort of, you know, leading up to that? Obviously, there are a number of shows and they're, you know, all around the place.
Lots and lots of shows and more of them. And you know, we've got some fantastic people really helping us. There's a lady called Christy Brun in South Australia, and she's a mad thoroughbred girl. She's ridden thoroughbreds at World Cup level. And so she's one of the organisers over there that's really helping drive the shows. In Queensland, we've got Clem Smith, who's a World Cup rider. He World Cupped on a horse that I started called Clark Kent. And you know, there's all these people that are just driving it because they really want to see it. And, you know, I've never ever forgotten 20-something years ago, like it's a long time ago, but I'll never forget, I was number 93 in the world on the world jumping rankings, and I had 3 thoroughbreds that did it for me. And I can't see why we can't do that again. You know, it's not going to be the first thoroughbred you find that'll be that good for you, but dreams do come true, and, you know, that's what Thoroughbred Sport Horse is about, creating an affordable dream and creating a home for the thoroughbred. So I think it's ticking a bunch of boxes.
Always great catching up with Chrissy Harris, and we'll have more stories from Thoroughbreds Sport Horse Association in coming weeks.
I was apprenticed